Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Chris, and this is Chris Tutors English. Today we will be talking about the Bible story Cain and Abel. It is a story about the cost of jealousy, and we will be listening to it or talking about it and discussing it in the context of the Bible as literature. This is part one, where we will read and discuss the story. Before we get into it, please like and subscribe to the channel. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you like to see more, subscribe, and I will, be pushing out videos regularly. Now let's get into it. I want to start with talking about some Bible facts. So, number one, the Bible is the holy scripture of the Christian religion and tells the story of Earth from its earliest creation to the spread of Christianity in AD. So there's some debate on whether the Bible is taken literally or figuratively, or if it's just one point in time. It really depends on how you want to discuss it. Some people say that it is truly the story of creation. It is the story of how God created all man, whereas some critics of the Bible, per se critics of the Bible, tend to say that it is more of a story of creation at one specific point. So wherever you consider the Holy Land, perhaps that is the land that God created for his people, not the whole planet, just that particular spot. And there are reasons for that we can get into another time, but that's generally what that's some two different options is how we think about it. So there is BC, which is before Christ, and then AD, which is I forget what it stands for, but it essentially starts when Christ was born. So that's what AD stands for, and that's what BC, before Christ, which is Old Testament stuff. Anyway, so there are many versions of the Bible. One of the most well-known versions is the King James Bible, published in 1611. The one that I will be reading from is the international. No, that's not right. New International Version. Sorry, I forgot. It's like, yeah, my bad. I will be reading from the New International Version. I find it to be the cleanest of the readings. The Ethiopian Bible is said to be the most complete. So that's kind of, yeah. Many books have been removed from the Bible, including the Book of Enoch, the Wisdom of Solomon, and the Maccabees 1 and 2. So what we consider the Bible most people have access to is called the Bible canon. And the Bible canon has essentially all the important books, or at least the books that have been deemed important, inside there. So that's not all the books. There's many other books. There are banned books, and there are books that we haven't found yet, and there are books that we just don't really consider important to the understanding of the Bible. And those are all considered just, extra books. They're not always, they're not really bad necessarily, but people just don't think that they add to the story of creation and, Old Testament stories, or they don't add to the story of Jesus and his life. Because if you think about it, there's a story of Judas where he actually agrees to be the person who betrays Jesus to get things popping. There's the story of Jesus, which we don't talk about, which is hilarious. You'd think that'd be put in there because it's the story of his own life, right? So yeah, there's a lot of things that aren't included in the Bible canon as we talk about, but you can find them and they're accessible. And as I said, the most complete version of the Bible is considered the Ethiopian Bible, and it's accessible. Like, you can just order it off Amazon. Like, it's easy to find. Okay, so next, the Christian Bible's Old Testament, where the story of Cain and Abel is found, is similar to the Hebrew Bible, which is associated with Judaism. So basically, the Old Testament is all of the classic Bible stories before Christ. It's very identical to what Jewish people study. They're pretty much identical. In fact, a lot of, I think all of them, actually, not a lot, but like all of them, all of the translations of the Bible are translated from the Hebrew historical texts. Finally, the Bible's New Testament is the story of life of Jesus and the early days of Christianity. This section of the New Testament is called Gospels. So that was a muddied statement, but basically we call the Bible story, the Bible books is books, the book of this, the book of that. In the Old Testament, they're called books, and the New Testament, they're called gospels. So you think of the book of Genesis, the book of Exodus, the book of, all the other ones that I can't think of, book of Malachi, that one. I like that name, by the way. The book of Malachi. It's a great name. Anyway, in the New Testament, you have the Gospels, the Gospel of John, the Gospel of Mark, the Gospel of whoever else that I can't think of right now. But yeah, they just call it that. I don't know. I thought it was an interesting fact. Okay, so moving on. Now I'm going to read the story of Cain and Abel for you. You can follow along. I have a link down in the description for a handout that relates to this passage. You can also just listen. I'll do my best to make it exciting, or at least not very boring for you. And I hope you enjoy. The story of Cain and Abel. Adam made love to his wife Eve, and she became pregnant and gave birth to Cain. She said, "With the help of the Lord, I have brought forth a man." Later, she gave birth to his brother Abel. Now Abel kept flocks, and Cain worked the soil. In the course of time, Cain brought some of the fruits of the soil as an offering to the Lord. And Abel also brought an offering, fat portions from some of the firstborn of his flock. The Lord looked with favor on Abel and his offering, but on Cain and his offering he did not look with favor. So Cain was very angry, and his face was downcast. Then the Lord said to Cain, "Why are you angry? Why is your face downcast? If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it." Now Cain said to his brother Abel, "Let's go out to the field." While they were in the field, Cain attacked his brother Abel and killed him. Then the Lord said to Cain, "Where is your brother Abel?" "I don't know," he replied. "Am I my brother's keeper?" The Lord said, "What have you done? Listen, your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. Now you are under a curse and driven from the ground, which opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you work the ground, it will no longer yield its crops for you. You will be a restless wanderer on the earth." Cain said to the Lord, "My punishment is more than I can bear. Today you are driving me from the land, and I will be hidden from your presence. I will be a restless wanderer on the earth, and whoever finds me will kill me." But the Lord said to him, "Not so. Anyone who kills Cain will suffer vengeance 7 times over." Then the Lord put a mark on Cain, so that no one who found him would kill him. So Cain went out from the Lord's presence and lived in the land of Nod, east of Eden. Okay, so some standout thoughts that I have is I think about just some kind of highlights, I guess. Number one, it's very important we look at the language because we need to figure out why the Lord rejected Cain's offering. What it says in the text is that Abel brought an offering, a fat portion from some of the firstborn of his flock. Cain brought some of the fruits of the soil as an offering. So it seems like Abel is bringing his firstborn, his best, his very first percentage, and Cain is bringing whatever he has lying around. That is likely why his offering wasn't looked on with favor in the same way that Abel's was. Next, then, after his offering is rejected, I'm sorry if you can hear my brother's child is here, and she's crying, but if you can hear that, I'm sorry. I'm going to keep going. I'm just going to keep trucking through, though. Anyway, so the other thing that we think about is it asks, the Lord asks Cain, "Why are you angry?" And he says, if you do what's right, then you would be accepted. If you don't, then you won't. why are you mad about it? And then also, if you stay in this, if you stew in this, you're going to let sin take over you and consume you, which is literally what happens, basically. And then let's see, after that, he kills his brother. He lies about killing his brother. Essentially, actually, he doesn't lie necessarily. He just doesn't really mention that he did it. It's kind of a weird situation where it's like he gets mad. He gets mad. Well, he gives the bad offering, then he gets mad. Then, when the Lord asked what he did, he could have confessed and said, "I'm sorry, I was in my anger and I killed my brother, and I am so repentful." And uh, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? The I'm so sorry. I don't know the word I'm looking for, but I'm sorry about doing this bad thing. I feel really bad and guilty about what I did. He could have stopped there. He could have stopped there, but he chose to continue and he chose to lie about it. And then that's when he is punished for his actions. I don't feel like the Lord punished him. I feel like it was a natural consequence from what he did. He spilled his brother's blood on the ground, and thusly, as a consequence, the ground no longer works for him. So yeah, I think that's interesting. And then lastly, about the mark of Cain, I'm kind of speeding through. I'm sorry about that, but I'm tired. Anyway, so with the mark of Cain, um, we don't know what the mark actually was. Some people say it was dark skin, which is why it's important to study this for slave narratives. Some people think it was, hairiness or whatever. Other people think it is a spiritual mark, so he's just touched by God, basically, and that's what keeps him safe, even though it's kind of like a way of forgiving him. It says, you did this thing, you're terrible, you killed your brother in cold blood because you got angry, but you're still one of my people, and I will still keep you safe, even though you stray from where I am. So that's one way to look at it as well. There are many ways to view it, and I'm really interested in the way you view it. If you have any comments or questions down below, if you have any comments or questions, leave them down below. I will answer them, and I would love to start a discussion about this text. If you are interested, or you're a student and you want to continue the series, the next videos are related. I have 2 videos on the multiple choice questions. You can find the link to that in the description box. I also have the short answer questions. It's attached to the other ones. So yeah, that's my discussion and reading of the story of Cain and Abel. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you.